Hello there, YouTube. So, I have mentioned many times before that I love 2D platformers. I love all kinds of platformers. I love 3D platformers as well, but 2D platformers are where I focus because I've been playing them longer. I've always loved them. I've grown up loving them. 3D platformers I kind of grew into because I grew up with them. I grew up as they developed. But 2D platformers have been there since I started. And while I'm doing my guide to 2D platformers, which is something I started months and months ago, and haven't really got back into yet, I've recorded the next part to that. However, it's almost an hour long, and it's going to require a bit of editing, so it's not going to go up straight away. I'm going to have to put a little bit of editing in. So before I put the editing into that and I get it out there, I'm going to give you a little hint as to the kind of things that I look forward to. As someone who plays platformers, there are different games that I'm looking forward to. I've noticed that video games as a medium is something that is so all-encompassing that it really stretches across multiple entirely different mediums. It would be kind of like combining televised sports, stand-up comedy and film and claiming they're all the same thing when they're clearly not. So when you're looking at what AAA mainstream games are coming out and you're excited for them, when I look at what I'm excited for, I look first and foremost at platformers, and most people don't. They're very much underground now. They used to be the mainstream when I was a kid. They're really not anymore. Now, that's not to say that they're not big, that they don't have fan bases, but they're nothing compared to what they were. Now, the problem that is happening at the moment is that some 2D platformers seem to take forever to come out. Now, I absolutely love Hollow Knight. I've spoken about Hollow Knight before. It's one of my all-time favourites. And it's no secret that I am really looking forward to Silksong. Isn't everyone? But I have a short list of games that I'm going to mention that I'm looking forward to. Silksong is just one of them. I'll put some footage up so you can see the games. All of these have some gameplay footage. Very little, because none of them are out yet. They're all in various stages of development. There may be a demo, there may be a trailer or two, but that's about it. As far as I know, all of these are intending to release on the PlayStation 4, but some of them may be releasing on PC, Switch, PlayStation 5. It could be anything. Nothing's out until it's out, after all. But I tend to play my platformers on the PlayStation. I've got a PlayStation 5, but if I've got a choice between a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 4 version, I'll get the PlayStation 4 version because it's a 2D platformer. It's not going to need the power of a PlayStation 5 to run. It can run fine on a PlayStation 4. And then I don't have to worry about it being compatible only with the PlayStation 5. I could lend it out to, say, a friend who's only got a PlayStation 4. That kind of thing. So, that's the example I'd go with. Now, Silksong is a game that I'm going to get pretty much as soon as it's announced. It's not going to get announced anytime soon. We've been waiting for years. This is the George R.R. Martin of video games. We've been waiting for years, and Team Cherry, they have gone completely silent. They do not say anything, to the point where at one point someone recently went round to their office just to see if the lights were still on, and then reported back to the community. I'm not joking, that happened. They are still on. They are apparently still working on it. We got one of the playtesters confirmed very recently that the game is still underway, and they are still working on it, and he has confirmed that it's a great game. But that's all we know. We haven't seen anything more in a long time now. So, what other games am I waiting on? Because all of these are games I'm waiting on, and some of them I'll be waiting on for a while, I think. Because Most of these games are made by a very small number of people, and that means that even the slightest thing could delay these games months and months and months. So I've got a short list. I've got 5 games I'm waiting on, Silksong being the first. So, game number 2 is called 9 Souls. This is a game I know very little about, other than what I've seen and what I've heard. It looks like it's going to be fun. It looks smooth. It looks like it's got a good selection of gameplay. It looks like it's got a good challenge to it. I think that this is going to be fun. I want to play it. Not much more to be said than that, really, but take a look at it for yourself and see what you think. Next, I have my third game on my list. This one is probably the one least likely to actually make it to the PlayStation, though they do tend to wind up there eventually, because it's not that difficult to get it onto PlayStation. It's much harder to get a game onto Xbox, and that is Quetzal. Now, Quetzal is a precision platformer, and it's got elements that make it feel like it's taking from the likes of Hollow Knight, Celeste, Super Meat Boy, things along those lines. It's probably going to be very hard based on the gameplay that we do have, and there is a demo out for this game which it immediately sets it ahead of the others because you can actually play it and get a feel for it yourself. I think this is going to be a standout game and is on track to potentially enter my top 10 platformers. This is a fantastic looking game, and I just hope that they can keep the quality up on the official release. So that's Quetzal. My fourth game on my list. This one was criticised. I backed this on Patreon, and I know, even though the advert only mentions Switch and PC, I know that it is getting a PlayStation release because it was backed on the Patreon, and it reached the Patreon support goal that was for the PlayStation release. And I've already paid for. I've already put my money forwards for the PlayStation version, so I know it's getting a PlayStation release when it eventually comes. That is Crowsworn. Crowsworn is it's what would happen if you took the styles of Hollow Knight, the gameplay, the combat style, the movement, and you took the aesthetics of something along the lines of Bloodborne or maybe Magic the Gathering's Innistrad, something like that, and combined the two. It's got a lot of those Edwardian almost influences on its art direction, but it feels very, very much like a Team Cherry game based on what they've put out there. Like, obviously, I've not played it, but the way that the movement is shown, you can tell that if they've got the reaction times down and they've got the input down, it's going to feel like it belongs very much to the same franchise as Hollow Knight. In the same way that a lot of games can feel like Mario or feel like Sonic. This is going to feel like it belongs alongside Hollow Knight. And the art direction is fantastic. I love the way this thing looks. So this is something I'm very excited for. I've put my money behind this already because I am very, very happy to see this coming out. The last one, this was only very, very recently announced. Now, one of my all-time favourite platformers is Celeste. And it is it's more linear. It's not what is known as a Metroidvania, but it is near pixel perfect, and it's beautifully made. I have the Platinum Trophy in it, and I remember playing it and going into what is known as the zone, where I had the controller in my hand and I'm playing it and I can feel my grip on the controller going steady, my hand shaking. I could feel almost like a flop sweat going down my back. I was playing it in summer, so it was a hot day, but I wasn't wearing a t-shirt. I could feel the sweat beading down my back from the tension as I was going through these last few levels. They were so tension driven, so pixel perfect. Every single time I'd respawn, I'd get just a touch further, then I'd screw up, I'd start going worse and worse and worse, and then I need to focus, I need to breathe, and you'd get further and further, you'd start to question whether or not you can do it, whether or not it's possible. And given that the whole storyline of Celeste is about self-doubt and about your own personal demons, it's about following Madeline and her mental health, and the whole point of climbing the mountain is tackling her depression and her self-worth. You feel exactly those emotions as you're playing through it. It's such a great game. It is one of the best platformers I've ever played. So when I found out that they're making another one called Earthblade, this immediately jumped right near the top of my list. Like, Earthblade could be fantastic. It could be mediocre. But I know the pedigree of the level designers, the programmers who are making this. Earthblade has the building blocks within it to be one of the best platformers ever made. And I'm really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, we only have a few seconds of footage, because there is only a single trailer out. But I'm so looking forward to this. Now, all of these games are theoretically due to drop this year, 2023. They may not. I would not be surprised if any of them are delayed to 2024. They could be potentially delayed to 2025. If by the end of 2025 these games are not out, I would write them off as vaporware. A lot of these games, especially Silksong and Crowsworn, we have been waiting for years for them. If they are not out by 2025, much like the books of Song of Ice and Fire and King Killer Chronicles, every media has this where something is massively popular and then the sequel just never seems to come. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those. I think this is going to be one of those things where if they do not come in the next year or two, they're never coming. And that's a shame. But I hope they do. These are the games I'm most looking forward to. These 5, these are the platformers that make me go, these ones could challenge my top list. And it's why I still haven't made my top list, because all 5 of these, I think, have the potential to make it into my top 10 favourite 2D platformers of all time. If they're as good as I think they are capable of being, all 5 of them could make it into my top 10. And that would make my top 10 very, very, very different. So maybe I should make a top 10. After all, could change very soon. Well, either way, now I've given you a little bit of hype and a few games to look up and look forward to. And you can wait on bated breath alongside me. Till next time, I'll see you later. Bye.